Hello and welcome back everyone to episode 12 of the Irish Bowls podcast, Jack in the Box. It's Ian and Chris here to wax lyrical about all things Irish Bowls. Chris, it's been a while since our last catch up. How's you?
I'm doing very well, thank you, and it has been a few weeks since we last had a wee chat.
Any holidays, Chris? The old question.
Ian, you're always hitting me with this. None planned for the rest of this year.
Okay, we'll not talk about the last few weeks then, Chris. That's fine, no worries at all. As always, folks, it's been a busy period in the world of Irish Bowls, but I suppose, Chris, there's no better place to start off with than these famous words: David Copeland, world champion.
Only place to start whenever we're looking back at what's happened the last few weeks, Sam. What a marvellous performance by David to come out as a champion.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, tournament was held in Melbourne, Club Barham. Never been to Melbourne, I have to say. Obviously, I think it was played indoor on synthetic, artificial.
So, yes. I think Davey sort of, from what I'm led to believe, started a bit slow in the competition, but obviously improved as it went along and kept his best bowls for the latter knockout stages.
Yeah, I was speaking to him recently there, and he did tell me that actually, that he started off particularly slow, but as the tournament went on, he got into it, started to feel the carpet. He had a tremendous win over Ian McLean.
Superb win in the semi-final.
The semi-final against Ian.
Having previously got beat by Ian in the section, I think, if I'm correct.
Yeah, that's right. And as these things tend to go, ebb and flow, he needed Özkan from Turkey to lose his last group game and for David to win his. And both of those things happened, as sometimes can happen in these major events.
That's why you have to play every game in the sections, because you don't know what may happen. So all you can do is win your own games. And he obviously managed to do what he needed to do, and the results fell the right way. And
yeah, unbelievable swings and roundabouts. But what a great for winning his way through the PGL singles, Irish Championship, makes his way to Melbourne, Australia, and we have a new world champion.
Superb. Would I be right in saying that I think is Neil Mulholland the only one, our previous winner of that?
Chris, you make a very valid point there, and yes, our life would not be worth living.
We'll have to mention the Hulk, because I believe you did get given off to when you didn't mention him before.
He did reprimand me not mentioning him previously. So yes, Neil Mulholland, for all our listeners out there, has already won this title. So he's not the first to win it, but listen, it's still an unbelievable achievement.
Yes, and the ladies with Sean O'Neill representing Ireland ended up getting beaten in the semi-final, home with the bronze medal. Very unlucky to lose, I believe, in the semi-final, a very close game.
Yes, I think she was aged out possibly by Debbie White from New Zealand, I think, who went on to win that game. I'm not sure if she actually won that championship. I'm not sure. I think Shauna, did everything bar win that semi-final and make it into the final.
But obviously, still a good performance to come back with a bronze medal.
Absolutely
a lot of play through the sections to qualify on that. So
obviously, both players were under the tutelage of Gary McElroy, so he must take some credit, Chris. Would that be correct?
Well, I would think when you're speaking to Gary, he'll certainly tell you that, yes.
Chris, moving on to other international events. I know our players are just back from the magical Hong Kong International Classic. And I believe you have some updates for us.
Well, it's one of the events you've been to yourself, obviously, in the past. So, so obviously it's an event that any of our players that get chosen and selected look forward to. So, in the ladies, we had Sarah Kelly and Zoe Minish representing them, and in the men's, Stuart Bennett and Simon Martin. Sarah, Stuart and Simon all got beat in the first round of the singles, all tie breaks. I think actually Stuart was an extra end after being level after the tie break. Zoe managed to win a couple of games, got beat in her third game, if memory serves me right. And then when they went to the pairs, Sarah and Zoe didn't manage to qualify for the knockouts, but Stuart and Simon did. They went through the section 11 games. They won 10 of them, only got beat by Scotland. So a superb run in the qualifying, and then went against the YDT, which I believe is possibly a youth development team, and unfortunately went out in a tiebreak to them in the quarterfinal.
Yeah, it's pretty cruel.
Yeah, after doing so well in the section, probably disappointing for them then just to not make it any further.
Yeah, and obviously the winners of the singles was Aidan Takaruni from New Zealand. I think I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, and Dorothy Yu. And the pairs winners and the ladies was Jess Weir and Alison Lamont, and that was a double for Scotland.
Yeah, Scotland won the men's and the ladies pairs, isn't it?
Darren Galtieri, who for the record, has won it now 2 years running. What a fantastic achievement for Darren. He's certainly up and coming within Scottish bowls. And Gary Prunty skipped them by all accounts, reading on Facebook. I think Gary was possibly the standout player of the tournament.
Right, okay.
And also to note that Gary, having spoke to him in Canada, he is an avid listener of the Jack in the Box podcast, Chris.
Glad to hear that. It's good to know that we travel the oceans.
Well, we'll travel. We'll take it. Apparently, Gary, I think he drives for a living, so he was telling me he does listen to the podcast. So if you are listening, Gary, big shout out. Well done.
Yep.
He's one of the game's good guys, and it's good to see him doing well. I do recall in Canada, he was a man or a jack of all trades. He was in the kitchen, he was making soup, he was doing sandwiches. I seen him on the green pushing a wheelchair at a point. Scotland had a squad with him, so he didn't play every game. Fair play, Gary. Big shout out to you and well
good
done.
To be multi-talented.
Absolutely. So, Chris, moving on then, we next on our topic list, if you like, is the World Cup in Malaysia, which was played from the 4th to the 8th of November. And I believe you have some updates for us.
I have some updates. I'll leave you to cover the para side of things, because obviously with para involved now for the first time when you were out as a coach. But in the mainstream, the ladies, we were represented by Chloe Wilson and Lara Rainey. And in the men, represented by Ryan McElroy and Adam McCune. Played the singles first. All 4 of them finished 3rd in their groups and just narrowly missed qualification. Some of them went down to the last game. Some of them were beat on actually number of sets won. So very close to qualifying, but none of them unfortunately made the qualification in the singles. Went to the pairs and both managed to qualify. Superb performances during the session. And they unfortunately both lost out in the semi-finals, but they both come back with bronze medals, both ladies pairs and men's pairs. So, a good performance out, obviously, in difficult conditions, I think, given the, obviously you were there, one indoor surface and one different surface.
Yeah, so one indoor surface, so 4 rinks indoor, which were beautiful rinks, laser leveled. And then outside there was 8 rinks on an artificial synthetic, a bit yucky, a bit tracky, a bit pushy, sort of like a real hybrid between indoor and outdoor. So certainly I don't think it's what anyone expected.
Yeah.
But as it is what it is, same for all players, and they just had to get onto it.
So obviously it was one of the first events that was, sort of on the world stage that had para involved as well. And we'd obviously had Linda Walsh, one of our VI bowlers, and Brian Smith. It had to be mixed in relation to a male and a female. So each country was supplying that. So do you want to give us a brief rundown on how they?
Yeah, so obviously the guys prepped very hard, obviously prepared more indoor as opposed to the artificial outdoors we're talking about. But a great experience for Linda and Brian, considering the heat. So we're talking 34, 35 degrees for all our players and all the competitors, but it was the humidity was a major factor. So I think Brian and Linda certainly in their first major international event certainly get their eyes opened. And indeed Johnny Adams, who for listeners was Linda's director. So Johnny really is Linda's eyes in terms of the bowling green, on the bowling green, if you like. So yeah, they did well. We actually won 2 games out of 10 in terms of 2 singles events and the mixed pairs event. A lot of the games, Chris, as you know, in the pairs, very, very close.
Yeah.
So for our listeners, the pairs events was 5 end sets, 3 bowl pairs, 1 tiebreak. So we were very, very close to qualifying in the pairs event, but just didn't happen for us. But I think, Chris, in terms of the para journey, it sets us in a good place going forward yet again.
A really good learning experience. And I have to say, I did see a few photos from it. One, it looked as though the humidity was definitely getting to them. And you were just sitting watching at that stage and you looked worse for wear. So
I think that's probably a fair comment. Probably a big shout out, in terms of an organisational point, to Bowls Malaysia for the effort that they put into organising the event. And I think anybody that went there will stand over that. And also to the 2 guys that's leading up World Bowls at this present moment in time, Neil Dalrymple and Brett O'Reilly, who's the president. Obviously, listening to them throughout the event, having conversations with them, they're putting a lot of promotion into World Bowls in terms of development, getting other countries involved, and also a big push, Chris, towards the Brisbane Olympics 2032.
No, well, that's good. I mean, it's good to know that just in the worldwide stage that there's a lot of push and a lot of going on to try and develop bowls and improve it. And I also think, it's good to have an event where para is recognised as well, and hopefully, there'll be more of them to come in the future as well.
Yeah, I think, in terms of those Olympics, from what the word in the street is, that, they're hopeful that para bowls may get in, and indeed the mainstream may get in, and that would be a great feather in the cap for our sport. Just a wee shout out here to fellow Northern Ireland man, DJ Dilworth, who was over there in Malaysia. He did a bit of commentary, and he was over with his boss from his club, and it was great to catch up with DJ, who does another bowls podcast back home in Australia, What a Load of Bowls. I think I said that correctly. Along with Simon Little.
Yes, they've been doing that for a bit longer than we have. So I've listened to a few of them. They're very good.
Very good. So it was good to catch up with DJ, and he's some would say he's as witty as ever, if that's the right terminology that we can say on air. But it was good to catch up with him, and he was in good form. So if you're listening, DJ, big shout out to you. Chris, one other thing just before we close that off is they did have a gala dinner towards the end of that event, whereby World Bowls was introduced a Hall of Fame. There was 31, inverted commas, Bowls legends given that accolade, 2 of which were from Northern Ireland, Jeremy Henry and Margaret Johnson.
Yeah, 2 stalwarts of the game, I think thoroughly deserved. From that, you could obviously name quite a number who could be along on that list along with them. But certainly for the achievements they've had over the years they've been playing, and the level they played at when they did play, it's really good to see. And I think it's good to see, bowls getting a Hall of Fame and actually recognising players like that. So huge congratulations to both Margaret and Jeremy on that.
Very much so. Margaret, actually, she had an injury prior to coming out, so she did intend to come out. So her daughter actually came out.
Well, I've heard she was going out. I didn't realise she hadn't actually got there.
No, her daughter actually came out, Shirley.
Oh, and
she was able to pick up the award. Jeremy was there as well with his wife, Natalie.
Nice.
The Sultan was there as well, Chris. Yes, so it was a tremendous evening.
Obviously, very well put on.
It was well put on evening.
Put themselves out for it.
It was compared as well by Barry Lester, who did a sterling job. And as you know, Barry can talk.
Wouldn't be short of a word or two, Barry.
Loves the limelight. And Barry, if you're listening, you're not going to disagree with me, I have to say. So,
but normally talks a fair bit of sense, I'll have to say as well, along with the odd wee bit of nonsense.
He does the job great, I have to say that. He really does. There was a number of Bowls legends there, actually, that made the effort to come across. Like Peter Bellis was there, Robert Wheel, Paul Foster was obviously there playing, and Karen Murphy, just to name a few.
Nice to see people actually making the effort to go there whenever World Bowls have made the effort to try and set it up. So very
much so. So Chris, it got me thinking maybe for one of our next episodes, or maybe for a few episodes. I don't know what you think, and I haven't told you this.
No, you haven't.
We don't really talk.
I'm not sure what's coming up.
You're thinking,
but whatever it is, it's obviously going to be an air. So
what's this man going to say now? But I thought maybe, especially for some of our younger listeners out there, that it might be nice for future podcast episodes if we did an Irish Bowls Legends Corner, whereby we kick off and we talk about maybe some of the old timers in the game for 5 minutes, and maybe share some of their stories and anecdotes and CVs and things like that. Don't know what you think.
I'll get back to you on that one.
Right, okay. That hasn't gone down great. But keep an eye, folks, for the next episode to see if it appears or not. Chris, Atlantic Challenge.
Yes, Atlantic Challenge. Again, it's been held. Was in Scotland last year. Involved the 4 countries: Scotland, Ireland, Canada, and USA. And then it was out in Canada this year. And this year was the first that para was introduced to that as well. So it was great to get out there.
Fantastic,
yeah. It was great to get out there. Obviously, you were out as one of the players in the mainstream, and I was out as the coach in the para. So I have to say, to start off with, a big shout out to Windsor Bowling Club in Canada, who you couldn't have had better hosts.
Very hospitable.
Everything set up, really friendly. All the club members really well organised and really well run. So big shout out to them. They put on a superb, championship.
Oh, they really did. And Chris, the format it wasn't traditional as such. It was
different and varied, and obviously they threw in some Commonwealth Games format as well, just to help with obviously that coming up, which made sense. Scotland ended up the overall winners. Canada won the men's, if I'm right. I think Ireland finished 3rd in that. And Scotland just pipped the ladies. They went down to the last run of singles, and actually just depending how that went as to whether Ireland or Scotland were winning the ladies, and Scotland just won the ladies. And Scotland won the para. And Ireland team finished 2nd with Canada 3rd in that. So very pleasing. Obviously, I was the coach of the para. Very pleasing from the para perspective. A lot of good play. Managed to win games. There were 6 players there, 4 with a physical disability, 2 visual impairments, and 2 directors, and all of them come out with victories during the series. So in the past, some of ours have been going to play test matches and coming away and didn't actually come back with a victory at all. So first time we've gone to something and everybody's actually had at least one win, and we won in all the disciplines in relation to VA singles, para singles, VA pairs, para pairs, and the mixed triples. So we managed to come away with a victory and all of that. So from that point of view, it was very pleasing,
very encouraging.
Yeah,
and again, a pretty long trip, Chris.
Was quite long, but I have to say thoroughly enjoyable. But yeah.
Okay, and just probably a shout out to Chloe Wilson. She got named Ladies Player of the Tournament.
Yes, yep. A number of really good top class bowlers there from each country, so a good achievement for Chloe to come out. So
Chris, we're sort of looking back in time here. It seems an age ago now, but the European mixed pairs, I think we had Stephen Kirkwood and Zoe Stratton representing Ireland.
Stephen Kirkwood and Zoe Stratton were there in the pairs, and Zoe Stratton and Daniel Spratt were there in the singles.
Right, okay.
Over in Jersey, and it does seem a long time ago.
It does, yeah.
Singles was played first. Zoe didn't get through. Daniel actually ended up in the final and come away with a silver medal. Can't remember the name of the fella that beat him, but it was a Scottish fella that beat him in the final. I think in a good game. So yeah, it was a good performance by Daniel there. Zoe and Stephen missed qualifying for the semis on shot difference.
Of course, they were defending. I think they were defending.
Yeah,
defending champions.
Yeah, they were. But they ended up, shot difference took them out from qualifying for the playoffs from their section.
Chris, looking at our domestic set-off then, obviously we're mid-November here and we've sort of transitioned from outdoor to indoor, and our 3 stadiums are up and running with our open days and various national competitions and leagues, etc., etc. I believe you have some information in terms of our ladies, primarily in terms of international.
There have been some teams selected already for playing. So the first team I'm just going to cover is a mixed team or under 18 teams, and we have 2 teams that we send across to that. So they're going to play in Cumbernauld the 9th to 11th of January next year. Team 1, Joyce Thompson, Alex Jones, Taylor Davidson, Brooke Sterling and Dylan McElroy. And Team 2, Will Calvin, Kyle Murphy, Isabel Ruby Nolan, Jamie Kidd and Dylan Murphy. So congratulations to them on their selections for that. That's a series that actually Ireland, generally come back with a medal, and the individuals that generally do go quite well.
Yeah.
And it's a very competitive. There's a lot of games played, so we wish them all the best in that.
Very much so. A great pathway event. Recently
selected is the Irish Ladies under 25 team. And probably just before we cover the team, they now have a new team manager. Sandra Bailey was looking after them. Sandra stepped down, and Sean O'Neill has taken over the mantle as the under 25 indoor ladies. So we wish Shauna well in that.
Yeah, big
new role for her.
Yeah,
obviously plenty of experience herself and playing all around the world and playing in that. So she should do a grand job. Not going to go through the full team. Basically, just to mention, there's 2 new caps. So congratulations to them. That's Caitlin O'Neill and Holly McCulloch. And one recall in the reserves. The only thing I will mention about you, it's an under 25 team here. Your 4 skips you have in that are Chloe Wilson, Zoe Minish, Lara Rainey and Sophie McIntyre.
Very experienced.
Very experienced, for a young team and what they've been to and played in. A lot of experience there coming at the back end for Ireland in that team.
Fair call. And then I think our full ladies
team just recently selected. Yeah. Yes. Again, I'm not going to go through the full team, but there are 6 recalls on it. No new caps. 5 recalls on the team and 1 recall in the reserves. Playing in Belfast in the 9th and 10th of March in the ladies internationals. So obviously wish them all the best.
Very good. And Chris, then moving on to sort of the men's process indoor, if you like, which sort of begins with the men's inter-association series, which has just been completed over the weekend, an A and a B series. That was a 3 series of matches in each stadium, which will lead, I believe, to a 40-man trial. But I think you have the results.
Yes, just recently, obviously held in each stadium, so each team played a total of 6 matches. Finish of the weekend, so Belfast managed to win both. In the A series, Belfast finished with 29 points, Ballybreaks 25, County Antrim 9, and in the B series, Belfast finished with 36 points, County Antrim 22, and Ballybreaks 5. I believe going into the last game, Ballybreaks and Belfast, even though Belfast had won their 5 games previous to that, they had a couple of close calls where Ballybreaks had won more in some of their games, so it still was up for grabs.
Yeah, obviously I played in that game on Sunday afternoon, and I think Ballybreaks needed 6.5 with 3.5 ranks up, and for a point in time it was very, very close.
So some talk 6 might have been enough because somebody thought your shot difference was better because six would have given you the same number of points, and so it was close enough anyway.
Well, there you go. Obviously it was still meaningful.
Yeah, very much so.
But I will give a big shout out to the rink I played with on the Saturday, and that was Alex Jones, Dylan McElroy, and Taylor Davidson, a very young aspiring rink, and we played our technical guru here, Ali Coleman, and managed to pip him by a couple of shots. But the guys played really, really well. I have to say that, and certainly, we'll be involved in those games going forward. I have absolutely no doubt.
Well, I mean, I read out some of those names, going to the under 18s, and you would think of them playing in that. And I've seen them play recently, and they're obviously putting a lot of effort in and playing very well. It augurs well for the future for some of the ones coming through.
I mean, there's different views, Chris, on the B series in terms of, how meaningful is it. But I'll give you my own take on it. I think it's very meaningful. I think it's great that the 3 stadiums have got 3 B teams out. The young guys get an opportunity to play. Some of the older hands who still enjoy competitive play, it's a great avenue for them to get out and get playing. If it went just back to the A series and it just as your 4 ranks or even they upped it to 5, there's still going to be a lot of players that actually miss out. That's my take on it.
It's still a competitive series, and the people enjoy playing it, and it gives people a chance to represent the stadium. And some of them, the younger players are hoping to then maybe make the A series in future years, so it gives them a good grounding. And the format allows it to be facilitated in all 3 stadiums at the same time. So why wouldn't you do it?
I tend to agree with you, Chris. No, I think it was a real positive addition to the indoor calendar. But Chris, moving on, I believe there's also been possibly, and I do say possibly here, a change outdoor in terms of management of the under 25 ladies side.
Yeah, well, I know they certainly had advertised and a couple of people were in.
I'm led to believe that Paula Montgomery and John Nolan are on the verge of being appointed as a management team, rightly or wrongly. That's what I've heard. So,
well, I had heard the same. I just wasn't sure whether it had been ratified at council level or not. I think it may have been, but we're not totally certain. But
I think that was in place of Donna McCloy.
Yes, Donna had stepped down. So
yeah, okay. So listen, if it is indeed, if our sources are correct, big shout out to the guys. Hope they do a good job. I'm sure they will. Plenty of experience.
Two very experienced people and very knowledgeable. So.
Chris, PBA qualifiers for the World Indoor Championships in January at Potters. We've had some Irish success on that front.
Yes, playoffs in Belfast recently there. And in the pairs, Andy Kyle and Ryan Davies, who's recently come over here from Wales, managed to win the pairs. So wish them all the best. And then there were ladies playoffs and senior playoffs held in County Antrim Stadium. And Chloe Wilson and the ladies and J.R. Nicholl come through to go and play in those. So we wish all of those all the best in January when they head across the Potters. Yeah,
very much so. Obviously, I did listen to some of the commentary at the qualifiers up here at the Jim Becker Stadium. And obviously Ryan Davies was involved and Adam, the Brain, was involved and Chloe was involved as well, along with Ali Coleman here. And, I did say to the guys, that to Ryan and to Chloe especially, I now know a lot more about their house and what they eat and when they eat and their fitness habits and all that type of stuff, So maybe
we're discussing the wrong things in the podcast.
Totally, exactly. But Ryan put out to me the bowls is there and everybody can see the bowls. They can watch it. They don't need people to talk them through and say when somebody's 2 foot short or a yard wide. So I thought actually that's a pretty fair call. So a big shout out to Ryan. He's obviously moved over here from Wales. Very personable guy. I think he's made a good impression the few short months he's been here. Yep, yeah, I would have known him a wee bit. I've seen him at a few events, so that a nice fella. So yeah, hopefully he settles in well. He's been playing obviously in the Inter Stadium. Yeah, and going reasonably well from what I can gather. It'll be interesting to see if he figures in the Irish team come January or whenever Mr. Hogg gets round to picking that. But I'm sure he probably will figure in those. Well, I'm sure there's people interested when that, and hopefully this should be out before that. But my knowledge is that that's been picked mid-December. 40 person. So right. I'll stick my neck out and say that. There you go. So as anybody else listening will actually realise when they will hear and be happy or otherwise. Whether they make the final 40. Chris, the Short Mat Internationals was held recently at Solihull, which we obviously know well, having been there for a few para events, a very good setup.
Yep.
And I believe you have reviewed the results.
I have some results here. Probably an odd one or an unusual event in that they run the main internationals and then they run an A series, and Ireland invariably come home with the team event and sometimes one or two individual events, but they didn't win any in the main series this year. They were picked by England, I think it was. Mm-hmm. So that's probably something they'll be looking at. It's not often Ireland don't win, especially the team series.
Great tradition
in that. They did, however, manage to win the A series team event and also had a couple of victories in individuals. They won the triples and rinks. So big shout out in the triples to Gordon Stubbs, David Peden and Mark Sproul. And then in the rinks, Michael Savage, John Murnahan, Kieran Traynor and Marty Traynor. Obviously good performances now. I mean, I remember going over to watch that a few times and involved, and the standard of the other countries is improving. I mean, Ireland were always above that, but I would say the main international team will be disappointed not to have won that.
The record on that, Chris, from my limited knowledge of short mat, but I know, speaking to John Quinn and Alan Paul and these guys, it's second to none.
Ireland are the team to beat.
They're the other countries. They're the daddies.
Other countries have been coming closer, especially in the individual events, singles, pairs, triples, and rinks, but generally across 6 rinks, they don't come close. But obviously they're improving.
They're getting there. I suppose the Masters events, which is held in Belfast and now across Europe even, with a lot of the English players maybe travelling to play, and that'll bring their standard of play up that wee bit better as well.
Just playing more and playing quality competition more often obviously improves.
Just interesting that it can be done, that you can make that journey, you can, lift and get up to meet those great heights, across. Hopefully it happens with our para guys as well. That's what we're aspiring to from our own perspective. Chris, you have some details of a very prestigious event being held at County Antrim Indoor Bowling Club very soon.
Yes, the World Under-25 Championships have been playing in County Antrim from the 1st to the 4th of December. We have 5 participants in the men's, Daniel Spratt and Adam McKeown, and in the ladies, Lorna McMullen, Laura Rainey and Zoe Stratton. So it should be a very good week of bowls. We wish obviously all those 5 all the best. And certainly if anybody's listening and you're about through the day, I think the bowling will start probably around 9:30 and go on. Probably I would expect around 7 or 8 if I saw the schedule, 7 or 8 at night, depending on the timing. So should be a good spectacle of bowls. 18 or else 19 countries, I think it is, represented in it. So yes, be well worth a visit to County Antrim during that week.
Yeah, and it's obviously a World Bowl sponsored event. I think the event last year from memory was in Hong Kong. So it's great to see that, one of our indoor facilities here in Ireland, can hold these events.
Yep.
And has done previously very successfully.
Yep.
So big shout out to the, the Jim Baker Stadium. And I think it's going to be streamed as well, Chris.
As far as I know, if you can't make it along, you should be able to watch it streaming. But there's nothing to beat actually being in the atmosphere, just, seeing the people play live. So get yourself along here.
Yeah. There'll be a lot of prestigious talent there, I have to say. The last thing to discuss, I suppose, maybe, is our change in men's indoor management, whereby Clifford Craig has now gone. I think Clifford served 7 or 8 years as indoor manager, and he has now been replaced by Colin Hogg.
He has been. Just before we're closing that, one other thing just to mention, Ian, is obviously coming up a new event, the Atlantic Senior Fours over in Cyprus.
Oh, the old boys.
The old boys and old girls. Or maybe they won't be happy about us calling them that.
Right, okay.
So going across and play that, and it's been played early December. And the ladies is Nolene Kelly, Alison Morris, Jennifer Dowds, and Sandra Bailey MBE. And in the men, Robin Horner, Willie McCaw, Colin Hogg, and Gary McCloy. Fairly strong setup on both sides. So it'll be interesting to see. I would expect most countries will have decent players in that. So we'll see how our lot go. And I'm led to believe that the scheduling is not too hectic, so that, they should be respecting their age and not ask them to play too many games in a day. Yeah.
No, a pretty strong lineup there, to be fair. And obviously, it's played in Cyprus. Temperatures are good. I've been to that venue. You're on the beach, overlooking the sea.
I don't think there's going to be too much hardship with, the sort of the
accommodation. Do you think we'll be able to cope?
The accommodation and the food, the arrangements. I think they might just manage it all right. Yeah.
think they're away for 2 weeks as well. No, I would imagine they'll do pretty well. That's a very strong 8.
And obviously, as you mentioned, our new, and one of the ones going in that is our new indoor international manager, Colin Hogg. He was recently appointed by the AIIB to that role whenever Clifford Craig stepped down. So it'll be interesting to see Colin's take on things. We have him coming up shortly, so we'll obviously get a chance to ask him directly. But it'll be interesting to see just what he thinks about the future. And obviously, we wish him well in that role. As we said earlier on, I would like to welcome Colin Hogg here along to our podcast this afternoon. Colin, you're very welcome.
Thank you, Chris. Ian, thank you for the invite to be here.
That's great. You're obviously invited here, Colin. You were recently appointed probably maybe 5-6 weeks ago as the new indoor international manager for the men. So congratulations on that achievement. Just before we get into that, we'll delve a wee bit into just your playing career. You're obviously a highly decorated player yourself, capped indoor and outdoor, whatever, right?
Capped indoor and outdoor, yeah.
And obviously numerous titles locally.
Yes.
With sort of association outdoor and at Irish level indoor and outdoor, and British Isles.
British Isles Senior Fours 2018.
Thought that was a Senior Fours, yeah.
First title actually, and was with Gary McClure, Russell Miller, triples back in 1990.
Going back a few years there, Colin.
It's gone back a bit now.
So it is. Any particular highlights just during your playing career?
I'm just going to jump in there on that one, Colin. Talk us through your final of the British Isles triples in that year with Russell, yourself and Gary.
Oh, Ian. Probably Chris has mentioned there what's my biggest highlights. That's probably my biggest disappointment.
Sorry for bringing that back, Colin, but it's an amazing story.
Yeah, we had won the provincial, won the Irish. We weren't expected to win the Irish triples because I think they were nicknamed the Triple Ds. So David Heatley, David Johnson, Cliftonville triple, the hot favourites. But we managed to get through that, and Russell Miller at that time, 3 bowls. Rarely was he outside 2.5 feet with 3 bowls, and then myself and Gaza. But we went to the British Isles and we played Tony Alcock. And there was this young teenager leading for him, and then this elderly man. I can't remember their names now, guys. But we played really well and got through that. And then the Welsh triple had beaten a very young Alex Marshall in the other semi-final. And so we went on in the final. The Irish team had arrived. They had gone off to practice in another green. And for 10 ends, we were superb. We were 20 shots to 3 up. There's no excuse then the wind changed, but it was probably, we were young, we were naive, and probably we just felt, 8 ends to go, 20 shots to 3 up. If it had been now, we'd have just said to each other, guys, let's just see this game out. But at that stage, young and inexperienced, naive, as I say, and we still felt we had to score every end. Probably got Gaza to play a couple of shots that we wouldn't have entertained now with years of experience behind us. But we never scored again. And they beat us 21-20.
Always good. Ian likes to bring up good moments in everybody's sort of memories.
And biggest, by far the biggest disappointment.
I can understand why.
But just for listeners out there, that is a remarkable story. And the guys were fantastic. And just with a light switch, that's what happened. And that's what can happen.
Well, it shows how easy it is. So getting back to maybe a wee bit more positive, because that obviously isn't one of your highlights.
No, it's not.
That's a low light. Any particular highlights?
Highlights would probably be the Irish caps, indoor and outdoor, especially outdoor. I was introduced to the game 1974-75 by my father primarily. He had come off the back of 2 British Isles titles with Raymond Weir and Willie Murray. Ian would know well. And I just asked him, Dad, look, I want to go down, have a throw and try this.
What age, Colin?
I was 14. 14, went down, okay, took to it all right, then played short mat in the wintertime. That was, 74, 75. I was still at school. Chris worked summer job in Barry's Amusements in Portrush. Didn't really have much time to put into the game. And then I went off to college. And really it was more when I came back and rejoined Portrush after college. It was the late 80s and a young Ian McClure and Barry Moffat, Jeremy Henry, Damien Ulford, Oh, we had a great team. But the important thing is, and Ian will agree with this, I'm very fortunate that I was brought up in the right bowl school. I mean, my father, Raymond Weir, Vincent Mullen, Willie Murray, a period of time in Ballymoney with Gordon Wiley and John Henry, and learnt the game properly and served my time at the front end of a rink. I just find nowadays young talented players are just keen to get to the back end of a rink.
Too keen, I think.
And that was that. Remember another early highlight, final of Northern Zone Under-18 final against a youthful Chris Mulholland. Do you remember that? St. Joseph's?
No, I don't. You have a better memory than me.
Oh, Chris, do you not remember that?
No, I don't remember being youthful to start with.
we had a good final. St. Joseph's School.
I take it you won.
I don't ask silly questions, Chris.
I don't recall that.
You don't remember that?
I don't, actually.
No. But that was it was probably the first thing that I won. And then, as I say, 1990 with the triples. And then the secret probably, guys, is surround yourself with good players. And I did with Jackie Smith.
Oh, no, come on.
Liam McHugh.
You're stretching it about that.
And then,
a wee bit.
Then more recently with the best player I've played with is Mark Wilson.
Well, I was going to say, you and Mark have probably taken over the title that Marty McHugh and Barry Brown had, as sort of being a great exponents of pairs. You have a fairly good record with Mark in the pairs.
Good record, but Mark Wilson with 4 bowls is probably his strongest game.
Yeah.
But we've a good record. Very proud of it.
Very good, and rightly proud of it. So that's obviously a long sort of playing career, and very successful, and obviously picked up a lot, which would stand you in good stead going forward.
Absolutely.
So, any previous management experience in any sort of a role over sporting clubs, even outside bowls or anything?
Not in sport. The only management experience I would have, Chris, would be my teaching career.
Yeah. And you've obviously been an administrator within bowls in various roles, for a number of years.
I was sort of at Cookstown High School, head of department, head of year. So man management skills important there, obviously. Was always of the opinion, you've gained a lot of success in bowls, so you should really put something back into the game.
Not everybody takes that view, but it's always good if you do.
And then administration have been competition secretary for the NIPBA since 2006, and I'm very proud to have been NIPBA president. That was 2006. Tommy Smith covered the competition secretary role for me in 2006, and I took it over in 2007. And then you mentioned highlights earlier there. Obviously, outdoor IBA president, and last year was AIIB indoor president. So
you haven't missed too many roles so far.
No, but
so onto this new role we've got. Probably fair to say that the Ireland team outdoor are very competitive and have been over the last number of years. Ireland team indoor, not the same. I think it's fair to say that, and probably disappointing, have sort of probably gone well on a number of occasions in different games up to maybe 15 ends and looked as though they were competing, and then unfortunately fell away. So obviously you're going to work to try and change this, but what do you think is the reason for that, if you have any thoughts on that, and what do you see as the main challenges coming into the role?
Oh, it's certainly a big challenge, Chris. There's a well-known saying in bowls that you're only as good as your last game. And last year in Wales, yes, the team was weakened before we even played a bowl. Yeah. Ian unfortunately wasn't able to go.
Yeah, there was a few
Barry Kane
missing
illness. So we basically had used up our 4 reserves before we got on the plane, which isn't ideal preparation to start with. And then I've given it a lot of thought since I've taken on the role. And, you look at outdoor and indoor, and okay, there's a few differences, but essentially you're dealing with the same group of Irish players.
Basically,
against
bar
the
one or two. Yep.
Same group of English, Welsh, Scottish players. All right, you can argue that the grass is more of a leveler rather than the pure surface of the indoor carpet. But I don't think it's an ability thing. I don't think we're that far away in terms of challenging more. The quality in Irish bowls. I mean, I marked a singles game, the singles final last year, Adam McJones, Stephen Kirkwood, and I have never seen anything like that. I mean, if any of us were playing and we had our 4 bowls within a foot, 18 inches, we were losing 3 or 4 shots the way those two guys were playing.
Going to throw something out at you. Our top players, when they play outdoor during the season, how often would you say on average they play a week?
Oh, but domestically.
Competitions and stuff
Domestically,
like that they're playing.
I mean, Ian, well, both of you will identify with this. Yeah. You're playing a league match and maybe not a cup match every week, but you've certainly a league match every week. Then in the NIPBA, it's Monday night, Thursday night, Friday night championships. So if you get a run in those,
4 times a week,
I think that's one of the reasons we're not playing. I mean, I was
going to say indoor. If you ask the same players, they're probably not playing 3 or 4 times.
No, they're not. And we've just completed last weekend a very successful inter-stadium series. I intend to sort of evaluate that and see how we could calendar more of that competitive play, because that's what we need. Yeah. And really, to go back to one of your earlier questions, the ability of our players isn't the issue. Preparation, commitment. And yes, there's a life outside of bowls, Chris, but at the end of the day, there's practice dates have been set, and we just need everybody as a team, management, players,
probably fair to say,
buy into the process.
There's more buy-in and commitment to the outdoor season from players than there tends to be. Not all players, but a lot of the players, it tends to be from a lot of players, and there may be other things that people are considering during the.
And if you go back, the Hilton Trophy, I stand corrected in this. I think it was 1937, 1930s anyway. First time it was played for, and Ireland have never won it. And I would nearly argue that it's unacceptable. That
with the talent that Ireland have, and they do have,
and over the years,
and they do have a lot of talent over the years.
There's been 1 or 2 near misses over the years, but not near good enough. But that's the main challenge, is to try and not just get a team out to beat Wales, but let's try and we were close last year. England 13 ends, we were ahead of them 6-8 shots. We were well in the game with Scotland at 16, 17 ends, and that was minus Ian McClure, Barry Kane, Derek Smith, Mark Wilson. So a full strength Irish side. We're not that far away, and obviously the aim of myself and the excellent management team I have around me will be to try and improve in that and get closer to them.
Sounds good. You obviously haven't that long, to put anything in place. You have time to think about things. Yeah. So if we're sitting, what would you hope for? And it's obviously aspirational, shall we say, but I take it we're not necessarily looking at a major turnaround next year. Be nice. But are we sort of looking at a 3 to 5 year sort of
Absolutely.
plan?
I've just put together a 5-year development plan, which was presented to the AIIB Executive Committee recently. I think it'll maybe take longer than 5 years, but we have to start at grassroots. We have to start at under 18, under 25, and just get a mindset, because it is a mental thing, and just get the players to believe that we are good enough. And that would be the main challenge. The ability, the players' ability, that'll look after themselves.
Well, I think if you look at the number of individual trophies, championships that Ireland have won over the years, the one singles, pairs, triples, ranks, it's rarely that they don't come back, or certainly making finals. So they show they can beat the cream of the other countries.
Absolutely.
It's getting 24 out players out there, all playing. Not everybody's going to play to their best of their ability, but if they're not in an A game, a decent B game, should be good enough to
and
be
I think
challenging.
Over the last couple of years, I was directly involved with the team last year, and then as part of the British Isles players the year before. And I can honestly say that the practice sessions, that the selected Irish team as a complete unit weren't able to get together for any of those practice sessions, and that's just not good preparation.
It doesn't help, because obviously it gives disruption straight away, and you can't see how rinks are blending, getting the chance for rinks to play.
And really, as the manager and sort of head of the management team, it's about dates are in place, and it's about getting a wee bit more commitment from the players and see where it takes us.
Well, I've been fortunate enough to play under 4 managers: indoor, Marcus Craig, Eddie McNally, Roy McCune, and your predecessor, Clifford Craig. It's been a while since we've won 2 out of the 3 games. it's probably, come back 7 or 8 years ago since we've managed to beat one of the two big guns, England or Scotland. It certainly would be nice to see that turn around. And obviously Wales are in the ascendancy at the moment. They obviously beat the Irish team last year for the first time in a while. And also my other observation would be, we have a number of good quality players that we can't seem to get on the pitch, on the bowling green. So I guess my question is to you in the back of what you and Chris have already discussed. I mean, those are obviously challenges to try and surmount. Is there anything that comes to your mind in terms of any of those sort of big burning issues that you can share with our listeners about how you're going to try and...
I think it's fair to say, Ian, as I've said, the ability of the players at our disposal, there's no question there. I think it's about just the basics. I'll give you a personal story last year in Wales. And I was second to Ali and Andy Duncan and played the trials. Probably it's underestimated how important trial ends are. And it's not for a bit of a chit-chat with your opposite number. The match begins with the trials. And I remember went through the motions with the trials. I'd come off having played a good game against Scotland. And then the first end, my first bowl, I'm not scared to admit it, was about 5 yards short. Ali probably remember it. And I thought to myself, what is that all about, Colin?
Ali still talks about it, actually.
You played your trial ends,
yeah.
and you play a bowl 5 yards short. And it's basics like that. You alluded to there's always a third of a game. And we always talk about it's the final third. But actually, if Tommy Smith was here, and Tommy with his stats, it's not always the final third, but there is a third of a game.
There's a 5-6
where the
period.
Ireland team just
switch off,
go off, and maybe we could manage that better. We mentioned about the pairs record Mark Wilson and myself have, and Mark laughs at me, and I would ask him during the game, Mark, what was the score at 6 ends? No, it's 18 ends now, the championships. But even when it was 21, 7 ends. And I would always have played our pairs matches as 3 sets. And if you win 2 of the sets of 7 ends or 6 ends, you have a fair chance you'll win the match. And maybe that's an approach we could think, well, look, let's just concentrate on the first 7 ends here, 6, 7 ends. And then once they're over, whether you're behind, level, or in front, then you go back to 0-0. And you play the next 7 ends and you just focus.
An ex-manager of the under-25s, Colin Campbell, used to do it in 5-end things. He had his people, after 5 ends, he said, refocus.
Refocus, go again for the next
5 or 6
ends.
shots up, 5 or 6 shots down, didn't make any difference. Next set of 5 ends sorted and just broke it into wee chunks. So it's possibly something.
And
that
the other
consider.
thing is, guys, we're at home this year. We're in Shaw's Bridge. And just prepare well and make sure the players know the surface, know the rinks, and just leave no stone unturned and to give us the best chance. I mean, we were sitting after last year, wooden spoon, no wins, and an overall shot difference of -100. The thing I intend to do as part of my development plan with all the teams, the under-18s, under-25s, and the seniors, is set targets. So let's look at feasible targets which can be achieved for the senior team this year.
Well, here's one here for you, Colin. I'm putting you in the spot here, but I'll fire it out to you anyway. So a good friend of mine would be Stuart Bennett, and he would always refer back to me, and I'm not talking out of school here because it's a sort of discussion point, depending on what way you want to look at it. But when he was breaking into the Irish team indoor, he had to serve his time, as he would call it, where he had to do, like, used to have the Wednesday nights up here in the Jim Becker Stadium, and he had to serve 3 or 4 years coming up to the Wednesday nights, doing the hard yards and actually earning his stripes before he actually got the call. He would maintain, and along with others probably, that they should have got that call up before that, but he didn't, and he had to work hard. Whereas now you could argue, and it may appear and it may not, that players tend to play stadium 1 year, walk away for 2, come back in for 1, maybe go to short match, which is their entitlement, then come back in again, etc., etc. So there appears to be, you don't have to commit to stadium for a period of time as opposed to some others. So that's a discussion point. I'm sure most bowlers would agree that is a discussion point. What's your view on that?
Probably goes back to Chris's earlier question about indoor and outdoor. Obviously, during the course of the outdoor season, there's no other bowls discipline to, I'm not sure if interferes the right word, but contends with outdoor. Everybody's playing outdoor. Obviously, in this country, compared to across the water, we have to contend with the short mat game. And unfortunately, we would have a few top-class stadium players who are also very much committed and very successful at short mat. I don't think in this country the short mat's not going to disappear, and I wouldn't want that to disappear because there's a lot of bowlers in the country enjoy their short mat and are committed to it. But it's something that we have to work with, maybe the two sets of hierarchy when it comes to a calendar, make sure there's no clashes with, I remember, was it last year, the Marcus Craig Memorial Trophy here in County Antrim just happened to clash on a Saturday with quarterfinals of the short mat zone competition, which was a problem. But maybe a wee bit more thought at the start of the season, getting the calendars. Yeah. I know the stadium, a lot of the practice sessions we have deliberately moved to Sundays because there's certainly no short mat on a Sunday. But I think it's something that we're just going to have to accept is always going to be there. And we just try and manage it as best we can.
Okay. Just before we move on, and for a change, I'm going to put you on the spot here now to finish off with this bit. You're obviously looking at a sort of a long-term development thing. What would you see as success? Obviously, the internationals series is in March in Belfast. At the end of on the Friday evening, the 13th of March at 7:00, what would Colin Hogg be happy with? And I'm not looking at exact results or individuals or whatever, but what would you be happy with?
A major improvement in the shot difference, and certainly beat Wales. And just, it's all about a well-known phrase that we hear in the Green many times by our friend Ian here, and start small. And it's going to be small steps. Am I naive enough to think that Ireland are going to win the Hilton Trophy in March? No, I'm not. But we've certainly, the target would be to beat Wales, improve our overall performance over the 3 games, and try and get closer to England and Scotland.
Well, I think that's fair enough. I mean, it is small steps, and they're capable of it. It's not that they can't, but yes, you have to be realistic about it as well. But I think, it sounds that you can't play the bowls for the players, but in your role, it sounds as though you're going to try and do as much as you can to enable them to be as well prepared as they can be and give them the best opportunity to play as well as they can.
Well, I think
that's
key.
What the management is key for. But you can only do so much.
Yeah.
You need to buy in from the players as
Absolutely.
well. And that's crucial to obviously anything you're going to try and do.
And give the players the opportunity to play as much together once the team is picked after the trial in January. Am I, as manager, going to stand at the end of the rink and tell the Ian McClures and the Stuart Bennetts of this world what shot to play? Absolutely not. Because...
Seen some of the shots, you maybe should.
Because I will have total trust in the squad, and it is a squad effort. I think another thing which is in part of the development plan, it has been addressed, I've brought this up with the selectors, is have a plan B if for some reason that we've no control over, personal circumstances, is look at the selection of reserves and maybe standby player. I think England and Scotland describe them as non-travelling reserves. Yeah. But we can do that and give that a go when we're at home.
Yeah. I think last year was exceptional, but at the end of it caused major disruptions just throughout the team because the 4 reserves you'd picked to start with for various reasons and couldn't be there.
And team spirit's a big thing. If I could bottle some of the NIPBA Senior Association team spirit
Don't bring that back again. Don't bring that up again.
Well, Ian, you'll vouch
Hey.
for this. It's hard to beat. And if we could bottle that and give it to the Irish players in March, but that's another thing we have to develop.
You
team
would like
spirit.
to think it shouldn't be that hard, because pulling
It shouldn't be
on an
difficult.
Irish shirt, people should be up for the game.
And a bit
to
of
start with.
pride, and not to think that it's an easy team to get onto. And the other thing is, we have to look at the under-25 team. The under-18 team has already been picked. We just have to look at the performance in the last two interstadium weekends of the three young Ballymoney players. And I look at the two young trainers, Dylan McElroy, Alex Jones, to name a few, Taylor Davison, to name just a few. We have to nurture those players.
There's a number of younger players coming on the men's side as well as the ladies. Ladies, I think we're ahead of the men for a few years now. We
Absolutely,
now have a few younger men coming on who are putting the effort in. I certainly know the ones in Belfast, you see them on the green regularly, and it's obviously paying dividends.
Absolutely.
Yeah, especially indoor. You need to practice indoor.
And we have those guys who are teenagers. And not to lose sight of the fact that Aaron Coleman, Ryan McElroy, Robbie Kirkwood, Stephen Kirkwood, they're all young men. And over the next 3, 4, 5 years, we could be putting out a young Irish team ready to challenge and do better in the international series at all age groups.
Well, thank you very much. Anything else you'd like to ask?
All good. No,
Colin, okay.
For change.
Colin, just before we finish, sort of tradition on this, and most of our guests we get on, we do what we call the perfect Irish bowler. So Ian's going to ask you various questions here. Simple rules. They have to be from Ireland, whether they're still living here or not.
Okay.
Male or female.
Okay.
Can be any of the disciplines, short mat, indoor, outdoor, whatever.
Okay.
And it's your choice. And you can only pick each person once. So if you pick somebody and you get later on and you think, no, they'd be more suitable for that, you can go back and change that original choice. All right, Ian?
So, Hoggy, we're going to put you on the spot here, obviously with all your years of experience. Irish Jack-in-the-Box, perfect Irish bowler. Best on the draw shot.
Best on the draw shot.
Indoor, outdoor, short mat, you call it.
Ian McClure.
Goodness.
You feature far too often in this.
Most prepared player. Preparation's key, apparently, Chris.
I have to go indoor with this Mark McPeak.
Mouse McPeak. Best on the drive. If your life depended on a bullseye, who would it be?
Oh, very close. I'm going to go Jeremy Henry.
Jeremy. Recently inducted into the World Bowls Hall of Fame.
Yes,
and
well deserved.
Best delivery. The silky delivery.
Mark Wilson.
Couldn't argue with that.
I couldn't include myself with that one, obviously.
No, funny enough, your name's never come up for that one.
I would have thought so, but A to B is important, Chris.
Best under pressure. The big P.
Best under pressure. Oh, best under pressure. And I can't use anybody twice. I've already named this person.
But if you think they're more suitable, you can change.
Yeah, you can change if you wish. You can change.
No, best under pressure. Gary Kelly.
Okay. Gaza. The best team player, team person, man or woman. Good to have around a team on the rink. Brings everything together.
Oh, that's a tough one, Ian. Best team player.
You want to think about that one? Move on to the next one?
Yeah, move on to the next one.
Okay. The mentality monster. So tough as nails. Your view
just gives nothing away.
Gives
just
nothing away.
All the time.
Well, there'll be one or two in that category I've already named, but one that I haven't named, and he would certainly fall into that category, would be Gary McCloy.
Gary McCloy. The funniest. Just up for a bit of crack and good to have in a rink. Jovial.
I would have to, and I couldn't miss him out because he would never forgive me. He's not playing this year. Thursday night league in Ballybreak Stadium, Jackie Smith.
All right, Chris.
Never realised Jackie was so funny.
Some might disagree, I don't know. And Colin, the last one we have here before we revisit the team person is the best in a night out. So if you're looking for a night's crack and you've just had a big win, You're sitting around a table, you had a pint of Guinness.
Very important for Irish.
Best in a night out.
Who's good for a bit of banter?
I would have to go with a Cookstown player.
Mm-hmm.
Night out. Gives as good as he gets. Damien McElroy.
Big Damien. And Colin, just to revisit then, the team person.
The team
Or
person.
team person. Man or woman. Short mat, outdoor, indoor.
Oh, that's a tough one, Ian. Because again, I could name any of the players I've already named.
Can be club, international.
Club, team player.
Going to have to push you in this one.
I will go Cookstown, team player, sacrifice anything for the team. Hasn't played as much recently. Liam McHugh.
Good call. Good call. Certainly a great team player. Haven't played against Liam many times.
Yep.
So Colin, we'll just quickly recap. Mr. Colin Hogg, the Bear, a.k.a. the Bear. Perfect Irish bowler. Best in the draw, Ian McClure. Most prepared, Mouse McPeak. Best in the drive, Jeremy Henry. Best delivery, silky smooth, Mark Wilson. Best under pressure, Gary McCloy. Team person, the one and only Liam McHugh. Mentality monster, Gary Kelly. The funniest, Jackie Coco Smith. And the best in the night out, gives as good as he gets, Chris, Damien McElroy.
If you had a mixture of them in the bowler, you probably wouldn't be bad.
You were doing rightly. You would do rightly.
Well.
You could make a rink out of them, all right.
Colin, thank you very much for giving up your time and joining us on the podcast. We wish you well in your role as manager, and also obviously aware you're heading off to Cyprus in the Atlantic Senior Fours, so hopefully that goes well for you as well. So hopefully that goes well.
It's as if heading off with the men's ranks, Robin Horner, Wooly McCall, myself and Gary McCloy, and I was just thinking about this recently, actually. It's as if myself and Gary have come full circle. You know, we won that first title back in 1990, and now this is a box tick for me to represent
well, that's
Ireland.
good. I haven't actually seen the schedule, but I'm sort of hoping that they're not playing any more than maybe 1.5 games a day for you old fellas to manage it, I have to say.
I think it's 2.
But
we'll manage.
That's not so bad.
We'll manage. We'll give it a go. Looking forward to it.
The temperatures and the beach and the swimming pool keep you to be all right.
Absolutely. And guys, just thanks for the invite. Delighted to be here. Enjoyed it thoroughly.
Cheers, Hoggy.
Thank you.
Well, Chris, that was pretty illuminating from a.k.a. Mr. Colin Hogg, the Bear himself.
Yes, it was. A few things that I didn't realise, there. He obviously has a better memory than me about beating me in an under-18 zone. I'm not sure my memory actually stretches back.
You're going back 50 or 60 years, Chris.
Yeah, steady on. But yes, some interesting points about the manager's role, and obviously he's obviously only into the role a few weeks, but already, has put a lot of thought into it, and he has this development plan that he's talking about. And I think very sensibly, given the history that Ireland has in the competition over the last few years, he's not expecting a change overnight. He's looking at sort of 5-year development plan and see how that goes. But I think he's having the right approach.
Yeah, well, he's obviously trying to chart the way ahead. Again, Ireland have never achieved that win in the Hilton Trophy. So obviously that's the ultimate aim. But you have to, as Colin said himself, you have to start small, I suppose.
Yeah. Just work our way up to it. And then obviously we wish him all the best.
Absolutely. That's us, folks. And thank you, everyone, for listening once again to episode 12 of the Irish Bowls podcast, Jack in the Box.